Nobody was ready for this news. Even the loyal soldiers guarding every step of BTS members were stunned, transfixed, and not a few cried in silence. A big shock hit the global K-pop community as shocking reports began to spread like wildfire. Jeon Jungkook, BTS's golden mean, is being tried by Jimin's family. Not a formal trial, indeed, but a tense private meeting rumored to be full of anger and tears. The news comes after the alleged leak of a private conversation involving Jungkook and Jimin, an incident that not only tarnished their good name, but also shook the foundations of HYB labels. A giant agency that had seemed unshakable. No one would have thought that a friendship that has always seemed so close, loving, and set as a role model by millions of fans around the world could face a storm like this. More than just an internal issue, it's a story of broken trust, unguarded communication, and difficult decisions that leave everyone questioning. Is this the end of their togetherness as we know it? The issue first surfaced after an anonymous account on a South Korean online forum shared screenshots of what it alleged was a private conversation between Jungkook and Jimin. The conversation is not something explicitly hostile, but loaded with emotional tension. Truncated sentences, a passive-aggressive tone, as well as the use of personal terms that are usually only used by those with close relationships lead many to believe that this is a genuine conversation. But what left the public completely stunned was how the conversation led to the involvement of Jimin's family, an unprecedented move in the history of BTS members' internal relationships. According to an unnamed source, Jimin's family felt hurt by Jungkook's actions. It is not yet clear what action was intended, but various speculations began to appear. Some say that Jungkook allegedly leaked Jimin's personal stories in a closed loop. Others believe that Jungkook inadvertently conveyed something sensitive to a third party who then spread it. Regardless of what actually happened, what is certain is, Jimin's family felt the need to speak directly to Jungkook. And this is where the drama begins. That said, the meeting took place in a very emotional atmosphere. Jungkook reportedly came alone, without a representative from HYB or the other BTS members. He sat in front of Jimin's family, asked to explain, to apologize, to defend himself. In that room, the magnate is said to be experiencing tremendous psychological distress sandwiched between loyalty to her best friend and the burden of the consequences. And when the public began to panic, HYB, who is usually notoriously slow in responding to rumors, finally spoke up, albeit on a limited basis. In a statement, they said, "All issues concerning the relationship between BTS members are private matters and are being handled internally." But at the same time, internal sources mentioned that HYB has called their crisis management, legal, and media teams to prepare anticipatory steps if the case becomes larger and involves outside parties. What made the situation even more out of control was the viral voice recording that was said to be part of a phone conversation between Jimin and his mother, in which Jungkook's name was mentioned several times in a disappointed tone. Netizens who heard it said they were devastated and shocked to hear the emotions that sounded so real in the voice of the mother, who is known to be very close to the media. Many fans began to wonder, what exactly happened between Jungkook and Jimin? Is this just a misunderstanding? Or is it the culmination of a series of small conflicts that have never been revealed to the public? Amid the storm of speculation, there are also allegations that there are outside parties who use this rift to destroy BTS's reputation. Some social media experts find the pattern of issues spreading too systematically and quickly to be considered a natural event. Conspiracy theories have sprung up, from the complicity of industry rivals to political interference, all of them part of a larger narrative that is increasingly difficult to sort out between fact and fiction. But one thing is certain. The public is deeply shaken. ARMY, the community of BTS fans who have been known to be solid and full of love, is now divided in a wave of emotions. Some defended Jungkook furiously, believing that he was the victim of a misunderstanding. Others stood by Jimin, feeling that as a friend, Jungkook should have been wiser. Not a few even began to question whether BTS's internal relationship so far is indeed the harmony that appears on the screen. In such a hot atmosphere, various Korean celebrities also raised their voices. Several former trainees and idols who had been under HYB's auspices implicitly revealed that the relationship between members is not always as beautiful as promoted. One of the celebrities even mentioned, without naming names, that the rift between the two BTS members has actually been felt since last year. Could this have something to do with BTS' decision to hiatus from group activities and focus on their respective solo careers? Was it all just a pretext to make room for their internal conflicts to subside? Even more heartwarming was Jungkook's own personal response that ended up appearing in a sudden live broadcast on the Weverse platform. With a tired face and a hoarse voice, he did not dispute or justify the outstanding issue. He simply said, "Sometimes, in very close relationships, we forget that words can also hurt." The remark brought thousands of viewers to tears, flooding the comments with support and prayers. But for others, the statement is considered an indirect recognition. This story is far from over. Jimin's family has yet to provide any clarification, and HYBE seems to be choosing to play it safe, making sure all parties are quiet before the damage gets even bigger. But is silence the best option? Many observers claim that transparency is the only way out. But in K-pop's secretive, industry-controlled world, transparency is often a rarity. Now, millions of eyes are on two names, Jungkook and Jimin. Two young people who once vowed to take care of each other are now caught in a storm that they themselves may not know how to get out of. The relationship that had been considered perfect began to show cracks. And we can all only hope that their friendship is strong enough to endure, or at least sincere enough to resolve peacefully. In the meantime, the fans can only wait. Waiting for clarification, waiting for the reunion, waiting for the magic of two hearts that once united in the same music and dreams. And in this tense silence, one question remains echoing. Is this the beginning of the end, or just a temporary storm in a story too precious to break? Before this storm hit, the story of the friendship between Jungkook and Park Jimin was one of the most beloved stories in the K-pop world. They're not just group mates, they're brothers, best friends, two young people who grew up together in the tight squeeze of South Korea's entertainment industry. Behind the glittering stage and the smiles they always shared with the camera, hidden a long history of struggle, loyalty, and wounds that have never been revealed publicly. Jimin, who is 2 years older than Jungkook, is known for being gentle and empathetic. It was often a dependent place for Jungkook in the early days of their debut, being the guiding and protecting hyung. Jungkook himself has admitted several times that Jimin is one of the few people who really understands him. In various interviews and BTS documentaries, it is often seen how they joke with each other, share hugs, and even exchange tears when facing difficult moments. But the proximity, it turns out, also stores its own pressure. In the K-pop industry that demands perfection, the bond between group members is sometimes not just a friendship relationship, but also a commercial asset. Their relationship is sold as part of the group narrative, transformed into fan service, and constantly pressured to perform harmoniously. So it is not surprising that personal conflicts that occur behind the scenes are almost always covered up, resolved secretly, or even ignored in order to maintain a public image. Back to the latest incident. Several entertainment industry insiders revealed that the leak of a private conversation between Jungkook and Jimin most likely came from a hacked digital device, not from the two. If true, it opens up a much more dangerous Pandora's box. Privacy breaches, hacking of artists' devices, and alleged systematic sabotage of BTS. HYBE herself has not yet confirmed the source of the leak, but their silence only added gasoline to the fire. It's not just the relationship between two friends that is being shaken. The impact now extends to a much larger system. HYBE shares fell nearly 4% in the 2 days after the rumor went viral, much to the dismay of investors. No less astonishing was the reaction of other celebrities. Several fellow artists, both from inside and outside Korea, expressed their concerns. A Japanese artist who has worked with BTS mentioned that Jungkook is a very sincere person, but also sensitive. If he is unfairly cornered, the impact can be profound. Meanwhile, a South Korean actor close to Jimin posted a quote on Instagram stories. "Sometimes you have to stay away from the person you love to keep loving yourself." Despite not naming names, fans were quick to attribute it to the current situation. Yet, amid all this chaos, one fundamental question continues to resonate. What is really going on? Why would a private conversation cause so much chaos? Is their relationship really broken? Or is this just part of a painful, yet necessary, healing process? Some senior fans try to give a more mature perspective. They remind that Jimin and Jungkook are mere mortals, not characters in dramas who always understand each other. They have every right to be hurt, angry, disappointed, and even stay away from each other if it's for the best. But these fans also hope that the public and the media will stop pressuring them with inhuman expectations. Love is complicated, even between best friends, wrote one fan on an international forum, but if they ever heal each other, I believe they can forgive each other too. Meanwhile, various major media in Korea and abroad began vying to lift this story to the surface. Not a few have questioned HYB's digital security policy, considering that this is not the first time their artist's personal information has been leaked. In an interview with the Korea Herald, a cybersecurity expert mentioned that the weakness of HYB's internal communications infrastructure could be an entry point for hackers, and this should be fixed immediately. He added that when personal data is leaked, what is destroyed is not only the reputation of the artist, but also public trust and management. HYB seems to be starting to realize that silence is no longer an option. In an internal conference leaked to the media, HYB's CEO reportedly delivered direct orders to investigate information leaks and restore the artist's trust in the agency. He even mentioned that if there is proven to be internal sabotage or negligence in data management, there will be serious legal consequences. But the public is still waiting. When will they speak directly to fans, and not just through a short statement that does not answer anything? At this point, Jungkook and Jimin have yet to appear together in public. All their collaborative activities were temporarily suspended. Rumor has it that they are undergoing a mediation process, with the help of a third party trusted by both. Is this a professional mediator? Is it from the family? Or maybe from another BTS member? No one knows for sure yet. But what is clear, this is not just a small conflict that can be swept under the carpet, and behind all this commotion. What should not be forgotten is the emotional burden that must be borne by two young people who have continued to bear the expectations of the world. They are not just idols. They are symbols. They are a representation of dreams, hard work, and hope. So when they collapse, even if it's just a little bit, millions of hearts crumble with them. To understand the depth of the conflict that now divides the two biggest names in K-pop history, we must look back in time. Back in 2012, a shy teenager from Busan, Jungkook, joined Big Hit Entertainment after rejecting offers from 7 other major agencies. One reason he chose Big Hit? Because RM, the leader of BTS, was there. But after joining, Jungkook did not immediately feel comfortable. He was young, quiet, and far from home. It was in those difficult times that he found the one person who made him feel like he had a home, Park Jimin. Jimin, who was also from Busan, has a different energy. He was more mature, considerate, and without hesitation embraced Jungkook, who at that time even had difficulty speaking openly to the other members. The story of how Jimin willingly waited for Jungkook to finish the night's rehearsal. How they often ate ramen together late at night, to their habit of writing birthday letters to each other, has become part of the fandom legend. On many occasions, the two shared hugs, shed tears together, and referred to each other as the most important people in my life besides family. But such intimacy, over time, can become a double-edged knife. Too deep proximity sometimes makes boundaries blur. A sense of ownership can turn into expectation. And expectations, if not met, lead to injuries. Many longtime fans have noticed that since 2022, Jimin and Jungkook's relationship looks a little different. They no longer appear often together on camera. Their interaction feels more spaced. But no one thought that underneath it all, there was an iceberg that was slowly melting and eventually exploding. In a group formed through a professional contract, it is not easy to maintain true friendships. But BTS is an anomaly. Its members are not just co-workers. They grow together, face failure, celebrate success, and heal personal wounds as a whole. Therefore, the conflict between the two BTS members is not just a personal matter. It touches the whole group dynamic. Fans began to question, where are the other members? What is RM, V, Suga, Jeon, and J-Hope's reaction to this? According to an insider, RM, the leader who is known to be wise, has taken steps to approach the two personally. In an unverified report, RM took Jimin and Jungkook to a place outside Seoul to have a heart-to-heart talk. But the outcome of the meeting is not yet clear. Some said the meeting went emotionally, yet constructively. There is also a mention that Jimin chose to keep his distance afterwards. Meanwhile, taehyung, who is known to be very close to Jimin, seems to be on his best friend's side. She posted a cryptic image on her Instagram story, a painting of a broken flower in the rain without any caption. Many interpreted this as a form of her emotional support for Jimin. Suga and Jeon haven't said much, but fans noted that in Suga's last live broadcast, he looked grim and avoided questions that mentioned Jungkook or Jimin by name. J-Hope, who is currently serving in the military, has yet to give a public response. However, one thing is clear: the entire BTS family is experiencing a small earthquake. And like a house cracked by a shock, all its inhabitants were affected. As the largest entertainment agency in South Korea, HYBE has the resources, experience, and influence to control the narrative. This time, though, they seem to be stuck. Unlike usual, where they readily respond to rumors with assertive statements, in this case they chose the path of silence and internal handling. But why? Some analysts argue HYBE is in a very delicate position. They could not immediately defend Jungkook, as it would be considered ignoring Jimin's feelings. Conversely, if they side with Jimin too much, they could lose the support of Jungkook's huge global fan base. Maintaining neutrality isn't just about morals, it's also about business. More interestingly, there are allegations that HYBE is considering using this moment as narrative material for an exclusive documentary. Some of the internal staff mentioned that the cameras have been recording the members' meetings, emotions, and dynamics since the beginning of the year, and this conflict could be a strong element in their story. If true, this would be a very risky strategy because playing with the artist's emotional wounds for the sake of content could trigger a wave of sharp criticism. Within 48 hours of the Jimin family's rumored trial of Jungkook, BTS's digital world was reeling. More than 80 million tweets mentioning his second name appeared around the world. Content analysis of leaked conversations is dissected like archaeological fragments, with fans trying to interpret every punctuation, time lag, and writing intonation. Not only that, TikTok users viralized old clips of Jungkook and Jimin's interactions to prove that everything has changed a long time ago. Even some videos show microgestures such as averted gazes or smiles that appear forced. But the most heartbreaking is an open letter from fans. Some of them are so emotional and touching that they are read hundreds of thousands of times. One of the letters was written by a fan from Indonesia. "I grew up with you guys. Jungkook and Jimin are not just idols to me. You are an example that love and friendship can survive even when the world presses from all directions. If you get hurt, let us the army be your refuge. No need to be perfect. No need to be happy all